Call our meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, September 11th. This is the regular monthly meeting of the Austin City Planning Commission. Tonight's agenda looks like we have 3 items, including a sign appeal and a couple open public hearings. Before we get to that, I'll ask the commissioners if you'd had a chance to look at the minutes from our meeting, our last meeting dated August 15th. Any changes, corrections?
Just one. I think the vote on the very last page for the shed or whatever, I believe it was incorrect. It's 4-4 in the note minutes. I think it should be 4-3.
4 to 3, okay. One other very minor change. I see that Commissioner Kim, right above that, just an E missing. Other than that, anything else? Not hearing any, I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion to approve the minutes and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. The first item on our agenda is to consider a sign appeal from the Moore County Catholic Parishes Credit Union at 307 5th Street Northwest in an R1 single-family residential district.
Yes, so this is brought by Moore County Catholic Parishes Credit Union. I put the proposed sign and location on the overhead. The only issue here, so this is a non-conforming sign in a residential district, although our ordinance does allow replacement of non-conforming signs of approximately the same size and approximately the same location. So they do intend to place this sign in the same location, but it would be about 12 square feet larger. So it's just a matter of the Planning Commission determining whether that's a substantial change or whether it is it makes sense in this area. So some of the things that you might want to consider are that whether the sign request is due to unusual conditions pertaining to sign needs for a specific building or lot, whether the sign would create a hazard, that the sign would not violate any statutes or rules, that the sign would not be objectionable to adjacent property owners, would not adversely affect residential property, and that would be in keeping with the general character of the surrounding area. This, the reason that they want to add a larger sign, so the one that's in this photo is facing east and west, I believe, and they want to have the sign facing in the other direction. So if you're looking at the building, you will see the credit union sign. Apparently they blend in a little too well in that neighborhood, and people have trouble finding it and occasionally go to the wrong place. They have, let's see, so it would be oriented to face 5th Street instead of 3rd Avenue. Do you have any questions?
Is this something that, I know it said about the, was anybody notified, or isn't that required for this?
No, it's not required in this
Okay.
instance.
Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, and if you need any more photographs, so there's a large parking lot on the corner actually too. So they're not, there's only a few houses that they're immediately adjacent to. Well, there's one, essentially.
Do we know the size of the current sign?
I do not know the size of the current sign. I mean, at least I don't have it in my materials. But the
new one
the
is
proposed
12
sign
foot.
would be about 12 square feet larger.
Is it going to be the same type of sign, kind of a hanging sort of thing on a post, or are they going to?
It would. They'd be adding another post, and then the sign would sit between the 2 posts.
Oh,
Do we know how far it's going to set back from the road?
In about this, the post would be in about the same location.
Okay.
So it actually wouldn't stick out as far as it does now. So it would be, facing 5th Ave or
Okay.
5th Street.
okay.
It's
42 inches by 72 inches.
Is
The new one is, yeah.
3.5.
But I would guess that the current one is only probably 12 or 16 by 2.5 foot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a substantially bigger sign.
Mhm.
Okay, anything else? If not, I will ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we allow the sign variances proposed.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the variances requested.
I second.
Have a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The second item on our agenda is an open public hearing to consider an application from Freeborn Mower Habitat for Humanity for a frontage variance of approximately 1.5 feet at 400 12th Street Northeast pursuant to City Code 11.30 subdivision 5A.
This is, this property is located at as you said, 400, 412th Street Northeast. The properties that had existed here originally were demoed. You can see some remaining concrete on the parcel. There are 2.5 parcels that were donated to Habitat, and the existing parcels are all about, well, the second parcel is, I have the distance here, but so about 47 feet divided in half, so 24 plus 47. So this lot is conforming with our current code. This lot is not. The Habitat has proposed to divide this 2.5 lots into 2 lots. And by doing that, they end up with one lot that's conforming of 60 feet and one lot that is slightly non-conforming at 58.57 feet of frontage. Our ordinance requires that the lots have a minimum frontage of 60 feet. The area is zoned residential and is surrounded by residential. The conforming property, they're currently adding a small house to that property, so they're just starting construction. The other parcel required a variance for the footage, the front, the linear feet on the frontage required a variance. The Planning Commission and City Council must decide if the variance required meets the statutory requirements. The Planning Commission would make a recommendation to Council. The recommendation should take into consideration that the variance is in harmony with the general purposes and intent of our zoning code, that the variance is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The applicant has established that there are practical difficulties in complying with the provision, and that the property owner proposes to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by the provision. The plight of the landowner is due to circumstances unique to the property. The variant not created by the landowner. The variance will not permit any use that is not allowed in the zoning district where the affected land is located, and will not alter the essential character of the surrounding area. So you could argue that they are creating the shortage in frontage. However, the lots in that area as they're existing, in order to become conforming, will need to be reorganized no matter what they do. And this enables the city to add 2 residential houses in an area that could use some redevelopment.
Okay, any questions from commissioners? So did you say they've already started the construction on the parcel that is?
Yeah, the one that would be addressed as 402. They have met the 60-foot frontage requirement, and there are no other issues from a zoning perspective for that build. The only issue with this site, this other parcel, is just that little bit of shortage in frontage. There are no other issues from a zoning perspective.
But there's a good chance they may build, or somebody may build on that, could build on that.
Habitat does intend to build a residential structure on
They
that,
do?
that
Okay.
parcel, yeah.
Okay.
They just started with the other parcel because there were no issues with it.
Okay, well, if there are no other questions or discussion, I'll ask for a motion.
I move to approve the variances requested.
I have a motion to approve
I think it's a recommendation.
to the council, yep,
Okay.
recommendation. to the council.
So noted and amended.
Second?
I have a second to approve that recommendation to the council. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion passes. The third item on our agenda is also an open public hearing to consider an application from Scott Medgarden at 1100 23rd Drive Southwest for a setback variance of approximately 5.5 feet from the required side yard setback due to buried utility service pursuant to City Code 11.01 subdivision 93 D2.
Again, this is a residential parcel. It's also surrounded by other residences. The petitioner wishes to replace his existing 22 by 24 detached garage with a slightly larger 34 by 28 detached garage, and he wants to put it in essentially the same location. He has requested a variance of approximately 5.5 feet due to the required 12.5 foot corner side yard setback, as noted due to buried utility service. The same requirements for variance apply in this matter as did in the previous matter, that the variance is in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the zoning code. The variance is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Applicant has established there are practical difficulties. They want to intend to use the property in a reasonable manner. The plight of the landowner is due to circumstances unique to the property. Variance would not permit any use that is not allowed in the zoning district where the affected land is located and will not alter the essential character of the surrounding area. So having those factors in mind, do you have any questions? The builder and the property owner are here if you need to know a little bit more information about the utility service and how they chose that particular location, other than obviously there's an existing driveway or access in that location.
Okay, any questions? For either Holly or?
I guess I'd like to question to the owner and builder.
You just need to come up and state your name and address.
Scott Medgarden, 1100 23rd Drive, Southwest.
And Jeff Weber, Hollandale, Minnesota.
So can you explain why the location of the 200 amp service, why it can't be moved?
It was just put in.
Why was it put in there?
I wanted the 200 amp to go to the garage instead of the house.
I mean, couldn't it have been 7.5 foot further over?
Would, no,
to the south?
to the south?
Yeah.
No, because of the driveway and the way the house is. If I would have
So
moved it,
the-
if I would have moved it over to the south, like you said, you would have had to come in the driveway and go around the house.
That's doable.
Not where it's at, no.
I guess you created a problem here before by putting in the service in the wrong place, basically.
I put it in right where the old garage is.
So was it put in sometime back?
No, just a couple months ago.
I guess what I'm saying is if you'd put the electrical service further south, you can bend an electrical service. It doesn't have to be straight.
Right, but getting into the garage,
Because the garage would have been behind the house part
Yeah.
of it, so you would have had, it would have, instead of driving straight into the garage.
But you could have waited until you demoed the garage and then done it. If you
Done.
knew you were building a garage at that time, you could have waited, demoed the garage, and then moved your electrical service where it needed to be. I guess what I'm saying is you created your own problem here.
I don't follow.
Why couldn't you demo the garage and then put the electrical service in?
I could have, but the garage would have still been in the same spot.
Yeah. Because the garage is only 10 feet back from the house, so if it's 7.5 feet over behind the house, your garage door, you have two garage doors 10 foot wide, and you wouldn't be able to,
Okay.
that's what creates the
So it's
problem.
access into the garage. then.
Right, yeah.
It's not the electrical service that's causing the problem.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So in the drawing, it shows 22 feet from some pin, and then another 7 foot to the proposed garage.
Yeah.
Can you explain those dimensions?
From the street edge to the locator pin of his property is 22 feet. And then from that locator pin, he's at 7 feet to where the new garage would be. And most cases, you have a 5-foot setback, but on corner lots, it's a 12.5, which, that was another thing too, that didn't realize that there was the 12.5 issue either, and even if he turned the garage, we're still at a deficit there.
And I think maybe they were trying to show that there is in this area a much larger public right-of-way than you would typically have in a
Yeah.
neighborhood with smaller
It's
lots.
typically 15 feet instead of 22.
Is that a
It's actually
curb?
not much of a setback at
So if
all.
we
He's
were-
actually got 14 feet there.
So the purpose of
In my view.
a setback would be to create some space between buildings and then also to avoid visual obstructions.
So does that street have curb and gutter
No.
at 10th Avenue?
No.
Is it paved or asphalt or?
Paved.
When the city comes in and does that curb and gutter, eventually they'll take that 7 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You will have 15 feet from the property line then. So in my view, he actually has 14 feet to play with right now. He's got more than enough on the 12.5, but
Yeah.
technically his property line is 22 feet from the edge of the road, so he's asking for that extra 5 feet to get to 12. Did letters go out on this, Holly?
Yes, they did. I did not get any responses from any of the neighbors.
It looks like you have an additional structure behind it. Are you keeping that or you just,
No, that's coming down once.
Okay.
the next goes up.
Okay, any other questions? Discussion? I will then, hearing none, I will ask for a motion on this.
I'll make a
request.
motion that recommend we approve, or recommend to council to approve the variance as requested.
Okay, we have a motion to approve as requested.
I second.
Have a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Anything else you have for us?
No, that's it.
Okay. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in a second. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
It only showed 6 people.